In the name of Assembly Member Johnson, your message at the Paris Climate Change Summit.
Thanks, Darren. The message from London to the Climate Change Summit in Paris is that we continue to be extremely ambitious about delivering London's energy future and reducing carbon emissions. I'm going to the first week of the well, I'm going for a couple of days, I think, or a day or something, representing London at the C40 Conference of Mayors. The ambition remains very, very demanding. We want to cut London's carbon emissions by 60% by 2025, based on the 1990 level. Between 2008, as I just said to Marianne, 2008 and 2013, London's carbon emissions have decreased by 14%, even though the population went up by 600,000. So per capita emissions have therefore gone down by 20%. And that's a time of big economic growth. London's GVA went up by 18%. So that's an achievement, folks, and we're going to continue.
Okay, we can argue about your achievements. We can argue about whether you've been ambitious enough. But what I want to focus on now is what I want to focus on now. Just listen, concentrate. The actions of this government are making it ever more difficult for you as mayor and for your successor as mayor to actually deliver on these targets. Can we look at the zero carbon homes requirement, which you're keeping in the London plan and which has had a significant effect, but government changes may force the next mayor to drop it altogether when they rewrite it. Will you lobby the government to restore this policy nationally after they've scrapped it, or at least ensure that it's devolved so that it can be a decision for the mayor of London without interference from central government?
Well, it's a very serious question. Actually, Nikki Gavron's got a question later on exactly this point. But I will, through you, Jeanette, I will I will answer it, even though my answer will anticipate what I would say to Nikki. The London plan already requires that development reduces carbon emissions in a viable and feasible way. So we have statute already through progressively tightening emission reduction targets. At the moment, those require a 35% improvement over the national standard. That's the 2013 building regs. And I intend to keep those in place, in spite of what you rightly say the government is doing. So what we are looking at is making sure that we can continue through the London plan to ensure that zero carbon homes are delivered in London, and we will be issuing further guidance in due course to provide the industry with the certainty it needs about how to do that.
So you'll go to Paris with a clear message on that. Okay, absolutely. Good. What about solar feed-in tariff? I know you expressed your concerns on that, and the government's plans to slash this right down in such a dramatic and hasty fashion is really damaging the solar industry, really damaging for the ability of this city to properly tackle climate change. Are you going to seek clarity from government on its intentions ahead of the Paris summit?
Absolutely, and I've been lobbied a great deal about this subject. And again, you're anticipating a question, if I may say, so that from the Labour group, but I will certainly answer it happily. The changes to the feed-in tariffs are something that I was initially very concerned about, and some of you may remember I expressed concern about it because it was quite a sharp cliff drop, it seemed to me, for the subsidy removal. I think it is important that the government should get that message. We've been putting that message across. On the other hand, we've got to, if it is the case, which I think it is, that the costs of solar are coming down, then it also makes sense for the government to be withdrawing the subsidies. The question is how fast and how far can you go without jeopardising what has been a very successful industry. The technology is changing, the deals are changing. It's very encouraging and exciting to see the progress that's being made in solar. And so what we're saying in the consultation is that we would like to see a transition to zero incentives spread out a little bit longer, and that's the argument we're making. We'd like to see a little bit longer for the industry, as it were, to acclimatise to this change.
Will you try and get assurances from government ahead of Paris on that, and are you prepared to make a big deal of this at Paris if you don't get assurance?
We've already, as you know, made a response to the government's proposals from the consultation they issued on the review of feed-in tariffs, and we made a variety of points on which I've already expressed to you, not in perhaps very violent language, but there was no question that we see, the cliff edge problem, the uncertainty, though we accept the need to make the transition to solar free, to subsidy free as soon as possible, because that's obviously if you can get a situation in which the solar industry can operate on its own, stand more on its own 2 feet, that would be great.
And then one final quick question from me before I hand over to my colleague. The London Climate Change Partnership has lost funding from the Environment Agency and is running down its reserves and could close in 2017. That has done some really important work. Will you be looking at underwriting their funding as you prepare next year's budget?
I will certainly look at it. Darren, I don't want to make any commitments now in advance of the budget.
Thank you.